Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about the Photoshop interface. I'm just going to give you an overview of the tools and menus in Photoshop. And if your Photoshop interface doesn't look like this, you may be in the new interface, which looks more like this, where it has these icons that you can open up, and then once you click on these or open something, then it will bring you into Photoshop. But most people agree that they don't really like this, and I also agree with that. So if you're in this, you can actually disable it. Well, first you can also toggle back and forth between workspaces. You can go to Essentials. Right now we're on the Start menu. You can see it's checked. We're going to go to Essentials, and this brings us right into Photoshop where all the tools and menus are, so we can just get straight to work. If we need to open an image, we can go to File, Open, or use the keyboard shortcut Control-O. But let me show you how to set it up so this is your default window, so that you're not going into that other one with all the tiles. What you need to do is, if you're on a PC, you're going to go to Edit and Preferences. If you're on a Mac, you'll need to go to the Photoshop icon and then Preferences. Preferences is located in a different spot. But anyway, on a PC, I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to scroll down to Preferences and go to General. The other way to do this is, if I want to just go quicker, I can hit Control K on my PC and it'll take me straight to Preferences. Okay. And on a Mac, that would be Command K. And under General, you're going to see a Show Start Workspace when no documents are open. This is enabled, so I'm just going to click that to disable it. I'm going to click OK. And then in order to make it a permanent change, you have to close out of Photoshop and reopen Photoshop. And when you do, it'll automatically just pop up like this. Okay? So once you're in this window, you're going to see a whole bunch of tools, and that's what we're going to learn about today. Now, it might seem a little overwhelming at first, but we're going to break down the different sections so that you kind of have a name to go with each of the sections of this interface. The first part is the document pane, which is just big open blank space, which is where we will bring in photos and do all of our work. The second part is the toolbar, which is this guy down the left side. This is where some of the most critical tools are that you'll be using. Along the top here, you have two bars actually. The lower one is called the Tool Option bar, and you'll notice that when I'm selected on this Move tool, this option bar is specific to that tool. If I select a different tool, it's going to now be specific to that tool. If I go down here to the Brush tool, it's going to be specific to the Brush tool, and so on. So that's really important to know, because you're going to be using this option bar a fair amount, as well as this toolbar. Up here you have your menu bar, and this provides you with additional functionality, which we won't go into right now, but we will be using these things later in the course. And as you recall, just a few minutes ago, we went to the Window and Workspace, and we could toggle the Start menu on and off to give you an example of the kinds of things you find up there. Okay, then moving over to the right, up here in this corner, these are pretty typical for all windows. You can minimize, restore, or close Photoshop here. You can use a search bar here, and we'll talk about that more later. And then this is your Workspace Presets panel, which we'll also talk about more later. And then over here is your panels. And normally these are going to look like this. Some people in the old days, they used to call these palettes, but now they call them panels. And you can see there are just these different panels. So these are tabs just set up just like Windows, and you have your color, you have swatches when you click on that, you have Learn, that's where you can do tutorials from Photoshop, libraries, adjustments, this is where you can do adjustments to your images, layers, which is an important one, and so on and so forth. And you can customize these, and I'll show you how to do that in a subsequent lecture. But I encourage you to jump over into Photoshop and just go around and kind of take a close look at some of these things. You can click through some of these toolbars and just kind of get a sense of the changing of the option bar. You can click on a few of these too and see what's in them. For instance, if you go to edit, you'll see like undo, step forward, step backwards, copy. You know, a lot of these are things you'll see in like Microsoft Word or Excel. So it's not going to seem extremely foreign to you. And then you can develop some curiosity about some of these other things, like what is free transform, and just so you're exploring. And then you can go click through some of these palettes, or panels as we call them now, and just kind of get a sense of what's going on there. And then in the next lecture, I'm going to show you how to customize all of this to fit your needs. And oh, by the way, if yours doesn't look exactly like this one, you can go up here, because you might have a different panel set up. You can go over here, click this drop down, and I'm selected on Essentials. That's just basically like the simplified version of the panels, but there are different ones in here, and you can just select on Essentials, and then if you're on Essentials but it still looks different than this, then go down to here and click Reset Essentials, and that's going to put it back to basically like the default settings. And that way yours will look like mine and we can work together. Okay, so go play around with this, just get familiar, and then I'll see you in the next lecture and we'll customize this to make your own personalized workspace. In this video, we're going to talk about how to actually customize this to suit your working style or your preferences. Okay. Now, one of the cool things is that all of these things are movable, or almost all of them. And it's a little bit hard to see, but there's these little dotted lines in your toolbars. You'll see one there and one there. And you can basically just left click on this and pull and drag it out of there. And you can put it other places. If you wanted it over here, you could set it over here. If you wanted it somewhere like right in your workspace, you could do that. You can also expand and contract these. So if we do this, we get a double toolbar. And if we do this, we get a single again. Most people keep it on single. You can also close this and just get rid of it. So if I clicked on that, I'd close it. To get it back, I have to go to Window and go down to Tools to get it back. But for now, I like it pretty close to the default, so I'm going to bring it back over here. And you'll notice when I put it in place here, it brings up this little blue line that fades out. And that means that it's ready to dock it back into the interface. So I'm going to do that and then release the mouse, and now it's locked back in there. You can also do the same thing with these. By the way, I didn't tell you what this is. This is basically your additional panels. And if I expand this out, I have these panels, but now I have a whole new set of panels. And I can expand those or contract them. And the other cool thing about your panels is that they're entirely customizable. So let's say, for instance, I don't need this swatches panel, which I generally don't. I can grab it, left click it, and I'm going to pull it out of there. And now I can just click the X and make it go away. Let's say also that I don't need the Learn tab. Again, I left click it, drag it out of there, and make it go away. You can also add new panels by going to Window and picking one of the panels from here. These are all panels. So for instance, if I want to see the history panel, which allows me to see the past actions that I've done in Photoshop, which can be very useful, I'm just going to click that and it'll open it up here, and I'm going to grab it and I'm going to bring it in and I'm going to put it next to my color panel. And the way you do that is you hold it so that you get this blue box around it. There are a couple of options. If I hold it up here, it's going to go into its own layer like that. But if I hold it right within the color panel and it lights up like this, then it's going to nest as another tab. Okay, so see, there we have the tab. Okay, you can also click on these. So if I want to see the color, I click it once and it opens it up. If I want to hide it, I click it twice and it minimizes it. Same with the adjustments. If I wanted to minimize that, I double click it, and so on and so forth. If I want to close everything down, make my screen very not busy, then you just close them all down like that. Okay, but you can take these and drag them to another layer. You can put them on their own layer, nest it in with the other ones like that. And that just made everything open up. But if I close it back up again, you can see I just dropped it into this layer of tabs and just customize it like that. One other thing that you can do to customize your workspace, which is really cool, is right up here. And if I click this drop down, as I mentioned last time, we clicked on Essentials and that put us in Essentials. But there are other customized workspaces here that you can select on. And so for instance, right now we're in Essentials, and let's reset Essentials so I can kind of show you. This has like color and swatches and libraries and layers, which is kind of your basic workspace. It includes adjustments, which is something that the average user would use pretty often. But let's say that we're a graphic designer, so we're working, we're making like business cards and flyers and things like that. What you would want to do is go to Graphic and Web. You click that, and you notice the whole thing changes. Instead of having the color swatches, it has character, which is for editing text. It has paragraph for editing your paragraphs, and so on and so forth. But it has panels that are relevant to what a graphic designer would use. And you can even take that one step further, and you can completely customize it to fit exactly what you want to do. So for instance, I could pull all of these out and I'm just going to pull them out quickly and close them all out. Let's say I don't want any of these in here. Let's say I don't want libraries. I don't want this. Let's say I just want layers, properties. I want history down below. Oh, down below, so I got to go all the way down here. There's history. Let's close layers to make it easier. I'm just clicking these and dragging them around. I don't want this one. I don't want this one. So I have properties, layers, history, and let's just grab a couple of more out of the Windows tab, Window tab, and we can go to these again, and let's say I want to do adjustments, definitely. So let's click on adjustments. I don't want style, so I'll just get rid of that. There we go. Now we're going to grab this and we're going to drag it over and put it next to history. Okay, now I have adjustments in there, and let's do one more. Doesn't really matter, this is really just as an example. Let's do brushes. Okay, so this gives me all of my brushes and brush settings. I'm going to click and drag this in, and let's put this one at the top. Okay, I'm going to close that down so you can see it. Okay, so I've created a custom panel setup. So all I have to do is go up to this menu and say New Workspace, and I can just give it a name. And let's call this Steve's Space. And we'll click Save. And now this is a saved workspace. So when I go back up into here, you see I'm now selected on that space. If I go to Essentials, which again is kind of our basic workspace, which is what we'll be working in, and I want to get back to Steve's Space, I can just go back up. There it is. Click on it, and I go back to my custom setup. Okay? So what I want you to do is pause this lecture and go over and practice undocking and docking items. Oh, I have to drop it before I dock it. See, it takes a little practice to get used to docking and undocking these things. One thing you'll notice is if I want to take this and put it down below this, I actually have to drag it all the way down to the bottom of the screen like that. Minimize that so you can see where it landed. So get familiar with that, and then I want you to go in, rearrange some of these, go to the Windows tab, pull out some panels that look interesting to you, dock them in here, and then go here, call it a new workspace, and name it for yourself so you get some practice creating a custom workspace. And then when you're completely done with that, I want you to go back to Essentials. Click on Essentials so that your workspace is going to look like mine, just to make it simple for us working together going forward. So go do that, and I will see you in the next lecture.